The next day, Evelyn on black gown officially began her duties in the house. She worked tirelessly, making sure everything was in perfect order. She swept, mopped, did the laundry and cooked meals, ensuring that the house remained spotless. But no matter how much she tried, Jenny was never satisfied. Jenny constantly found faults in her work. If the floor was clean, she would complain that the windows were dusty. If Evelyn prepared a delicious meal, Jenny would criticize the way she arranged the plates. One afternoon, as Evelyn was busy doing laundry, Jenny entered the kitchen and smelled something slightly burnt. She rushed to the stove, lifted the pot lid and frowned. "Evelyn," she screamed. "Are you trying to burn down this house? Where are you?" Evelyn ran into the kitchen, wiping her wet hands on a towel. "I'm sorry, Ma. I was doing the laundry and lost track of time." Jenny folded her arms and glared at her. "So because you were washing clothes, you decided to burn my kitchen down? I thought you were competent, but look at this. You can't even cook a simple meal without burning it. Or is it because your father had mansions like this one that you think you can destroy mine?" Evelyn lowered her head. "I'm really sorry, Ma. It won't happen again." Jenny scoffed and stormed off to report to Ben. "You see, honey, I told you this street girl is not capable. Every day she keeps burning food and making mistakes." Ben sighed. "She's still new, Jenny. She's adjusting." That night, Ben stepped outside and found Evelyn sitting on the porch, looking up at the sky. "What are you doing out here so late?" he asked. Evelyn quickly stood up. "I'm not done with my work, sir. Miss Jenny gave me extra laundry, and I still have some left." Ben shook his head and smiled. "It's late. You need to rest. Tomorrow is another day." Evelyn hesitated but nodded. "Okay, sir." As she lay in bed, she stared at the ceiling, sleep far from her eyes. She wondered why Jenny disliked her so much and seemed determined to bring her down. But Evelyn made a silent promise to herself. She would remain loyal to her work, no matter what. The next morning, the house was filled with excitement. Ben's mother had returned from her trip, and Jenny welcomed her with a bright smile. "Mama, welcome," Jenny said, hugging her. "Thank you, my dear," Ben's mother replied warmly. "How are you? And how is the wedding planning going?" "I'm back to help." "It's going well, Ma." Just then, Evelyn walked in, and Jenny quickly called her. "Evelyn, take Mama's bags upstairs." Ben's mother turned to Evelyn in surprise. "Who is she?" "She's the new housekeeper," Jenny said. "Oh, that's good," Ben's mother smiled. "Now you won't have to stress yourself with chores." As the days passed, Ben's mother observed the way Jenny treated Evelyn. She noticed the little insults, the unnecessary criticisms, and the way Jenny would pretend to be kind whenever she was around. She didn't like what she saw. One afternoon, as Evelyn was mopping the floor, Jenny deliberately knocked over a glass of juice. "You see, Evelyn," she yelled. "You didn't clean properly. Now clean this mess." Evelyn quickly grabbed a mop and started cleaning, whispering, "I'm sorry, Ma." Unbeknownst to Jenny, Ben's mother had been watching from the corner. "But you spilled it on purpose," she said calmly. Jenny froze, realizing she had been caught. "No, Ma, it was an accident," she lied, trying to compose herself. Ben's mother didn't say anything more, but she had seen enough. She decided to test Jenny's character. That evening, she placed a suitcase full of money on her bed and left it slightly open. Then she called Jenny. "Please get my glasses from my room. Evelyn has gone to the grocery store." "Okay, Ma," Jenny said and headed upstairs. As soon as she entered the room, she saw the money. Her eyes widened in shock. "How does Mama have so much money lying around?" she whispered. "This is a lot." A wicked thought entered her mind. "I'll take some and blame Evelyn. After all, she's from the streets. Everyone will believe me." She quickly grabbed a few bundles and stuffed them into her pocket before taking the glasses downstairs. Later that evening, Ben's mother went into her room and pretended to discover that some of her money was missing. She raised her voice. "Someone has stolen my money." Everyone gathered in the living room, and Ben frowned. Stealing? No, I don't tolerate thieves in this house. Jenny saw her chance. Honey, you forgot Evelyn cleaned this room today. I told you it was a bad idea to bring a street girl into this house. She's a thief. Evelyn's heart pounded as tears filled her eyes. Sir Ma, I didn't steal. I swear. I may not have much, but I would never take something that isn't mine. Jenny folded her arms. Then who did? You're the only one who cleaned the room today. Thieves always deny it. Ben's mother raised her hand, silencing everyone. No need to argue. I installed a camera in my room. Jenny's face went pale. See camera? She stammered. Yes. Let's watch the footage, Ben's mother said. Everyone's eyes were glued to the screen as the video played. It showed Jenny entering the room, seeing the money, taking some, and hiding it in her pocket. Gasps filled the room. Jenny fell to the floor in shame. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Ben clenched his fists. Jenny, I give you more than enough allowance. How could you stoop so low to steal? Ben's mother sighed. My son cannot marry a thief. Jenny looked up in shock. No, Ma. Please. Go inside, pack your things and leave, Ben said coldly. It's over between us. Jenny wept, begging for another chance, but it was too late. She had ruined everything. As Jenny left, Evelyn stood in the corner, tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, but relief. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Maybe, just maybe, her life was about to change for the better. Evelyn had been working diligently ever since Jenny left the house. She never complained, never slacked off, and never did anything half-heartedly. She put her heart into every chore, from scrubbing the floors to preparing meals. The house, once filled with tension, was now a haven of peace. Ben and his mother had begun to notice and appreciate her more. It wasn't just about the chores. It was the warmth she brought into the home. Ben, especially, found himself drawn to her. He didn't understand why at first, but every time Evelyn moved about the house, he couldn't help but watch her. One evening, Evelyn was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup, humming softly to herself. She turned suddenly and gasped. Sir, she exclaimed, placing a hand on her chest. I didn't know you were there. Ben stood at the door, leaning against the frame, a small smile playing on his lips. Sorry, sir, Evelyn said quickly, a hint of nervousness in her voice. Do you need anything? Ben shook his head, still watching her intently. No, Evelyn. Carry on with your work. I just came to get a glass for my wine. Okay, sir, she replied, turning back to her cooking, but her hands trembled slightly. That evening, Ben and his mother sat outside on the front porch, enjoying the cool breeze. His mother watched him for a while, then smiled knowingly. I know you like her, she said softly. Ben turned to her, pretending not to understand. Like who? His mother chuckled, shaking her head. Ben, I am your mother. I know you too well. That girl, Evelyn, she would make a good wife. Ben sighed, then smiled. Mummy, nothing can be hidden from you, can it? Of course not, she said proudly. I've loved her from the very first day I saw her, Ben admitted, his voice full of sincerity. Evelyn isn't just beautiful. She is hardworking, kind, and has a heart of gold. I've watched her every day, and I know she's special. I want her close, not just as someone who works here but as my own. His mother patted his hand. Then go for her, my son. She will give me the best grandchildren. The next morning, Evelyn was sweeping the living room, humming a tune as she worked. She heard footsteps but didn't turn around. She thought it was just another routine morning, until she saw a shadow beside her. Let me help you, Ben said gently. Evelyn looked up, startled. No, sir. It's my job. Ben shook his head. No, Evelyn, it's our job. Not just yours. You work too hard and I've watched you every day. I don't want you to feel like you have to do everything alone. Evelyn froze. There was something different about his tone. She looked up and their eyes met. I want to help you cook, clean, and do everything together, Ben continued, stepping closer. You might be surprised to hear this, but I have to say it. He took a deep breath. Evelyn, I love you. From the very first day I saw you, I knew there was something special about you. And now I know for sure. I don't just want you here as a worker. I want you as my wife. Evelyn's broom slipped from her fingers. She stared at him, her lips slightly parted in shock. Tears welled up in her eyes. She started, but the words choked in her throat. Ben took her hands in his. You are not just beautiful. You are intelligent, kind, and hardworking. You have the qualities of a good woman. Please be the mother of my children. Let's build a life together. Evelyn let out a shaky breath, tears now rolling freely down her cheeks. She nodded slowly. Yes, Ben. I like you too. I always have. I saw you as a good man, and that's why I chose to stay here and work for you. Ben pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as she cried tears of joy. A loud laugh broke the moment. They turned to see Ben's mother standing in the doorway, grinning from ear to ear. Finally, she exclaimed. Now I know my son has found his true wife. Evelyn wiped her eyes, smiling shyly. Thank you, Ma, she said softly. Ben's mother opened her arms, and Evelyn stepped into them. Welcome to the family, my daughter, she whispered. And at that moment, Evelyn knew she had found her home. The hall sparkled like a palace, with flowers hanging from the high ceiling and crystal lights shimmering across every corner. Guests in glamorous clothes filled the space, laughing, snapping photos, and clinking glasses. But while it looked like a perfect wedding, something was missing: Evelyn's family. Ben had spared no expense. He had invited every friend, business associate, and distant relative. Evelyn, dressed in a stunning white gown, walked down the aisle with grace. But deep inside she felt empty. She looked at the crowd. Not a single person from her side. Her family had shut her out long ago, and she had no one left. After the wedding, Ben gave Evelyn a new world. A powerful role in his empire, Ben Energy Firm, one of the largest indigenous energy companies operating across continents. It was a dream many would kill for. And Evelyn, with her natural intelligence and burning drive, rose faster than anyone had expected. Ben trusted her completely and made her one of the board of directors. Her new title came with respect, power, and a luxurious office with glass walls and leather chairs. Evelyn dressed like a queen. Elegant heels, tailored suits, and soft perfume that filled a room before she even spoke. She ran the human resources department, ensuring that only the best, most qualified candidates were hired. No favoritism, no shortcuts. Her reputation was spotless. She had everything, but still, she carried the scars of a past filled with rejection. Then came an announcement. A new position was open. Logistics manager. The firm advertised it widely, and within a week, thousands of applications flooded in. The HR team shortlisted the best candidates, and the interviews began. On the third day of interviews, Evelyn sat in her office, reviewing the next file in the stack. The air was calm, scented with vanilla. Her assistant had just stepped out. She flipped the page and paused. Her eyes narrowed. Name: Felix Emmanuel. Her fingers tightened around the paper. Her heart skipped a beat. That name, it couldn't be. She looked again. Then again. It was him. Her stepbrother. The one who used to mock her tears. The one who watched silently while his mother, Evelyn's stepmother, locked her outside on rainy nights. The one who said nothing as she was thrown out of their home like trash. And now, years later, he was standing at her door. Knock. Come in, Evelyn said, keeping her voice steady. A young man stepped in, well-dressed and confident. Good morning, Ma, he said with a polite smile, unaware of the storm behind Evelyn's calm eyes. Please have a seat, she said. As he sat, she studied him. His eyes, his posture, his smile, so familiar yet different. He had grown. He spoke clearly. His resume was impressive. He had graduated top of his class and worked with 2 major companies. He was bold, experienced, and well-spoken. But what struck Evelyn the most was, he didn't recognize her. Not at all. "Tell me about yourself," she said, folding her hands on the desk. Felix launched into his story. His education, his achievements, his goals. He talked about his passion for logistics, his dreams to grow with a respected firm. Evelyn listened silently, the war in her heart growing louder. Should I give him this job? Does he deserve it? Is this justice? Or foolishness? After what they did to me, am I really going to help them rise while they watched me fall? He finished talking. "We'll get back to you," she said, her voice unreadable. "Thank you, Ma," Felix said, bowing slightly. Then he walked out. Evelyn remained still for a long moment. Her mind flashed with memories, her stepmother's slap, the nights without food, the way Felix used to laugh when she cried. A cold smile formed on her lips. She picked up the intercom. "Send him the congratulatory message," she said calmly to her assistant. Then she leaned back, staring at the ceiling, as 1,000 emotions swirled inside her. Anger, pride, pain, and something darker. This time, Evelyn held all the power. But what would she do with it? That question would soon shake everything. Felix was just a few steps from his gate when his phone buzzed. He paused and looked down. "Congratulations! You have been offered the role of logistics manager at Ben Energy Firm." His eyes widened. His heart skipped. "I got it!" he shouted, throwing his hands in the air as he raced into the compound. His mother, an older woman wrapped in an old Ankara wrapper, came rushing out from the kitchen, drying her wet hands on her wrapper. Her back was slightly bent from years of hard labor, and her face looked more tired than it used to. "What is it, Felix?" she asked, breathless. "I got the job, Mama. Ben Energy Firm chose me." "Ah, my son. Thank you, Jesus. My son has finally made it," she exclaimed, wrapping him in a tight hug. Tears filled her eyes. "God has answered our prayers. This is your season, my son. You will shine. You will rise." Felix grinned and nodded. "The woman that interviewed me. Something about her felt familiar. I don't know why, but she was so calm, so professional. She didn't smile much, but she had this strong presence. It felt like I knew her from somewhere." His mother touched his head. "Don't worry about that. What matters is that you got the job. You're working in one of the biggest companies in the country. Go and make us proud." That night, Felix couldn't sleep. He was too excited. He stayed up ironing his best shirt and trousers until they were sharp enough to slice air. He imagined walking into his new office, shaking hands with future friends, and climbing the ladder of success. He whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." The next morning, Felix arrived at Ben Energy Firm early, dressed smartly and walking with pride. He introduced himself to the front desk staff and was warmly welcomed by a few colleagues. Everyone seemed impressed with his background and personality. He learned fast, asked the right questions, and got along easily with his new team. By the end of the day, Felix was already getting noticed. He sat at his desk smiling, thinking about how quickly life could turn around. One day you're praying for help. The next day, you're part of a billionaire empire, he thought, swinging his chair lightly. As the clock struck 5 p.m., Felix packed his bag, waved goodbye to his colleagues, and walked towards the gate. "Good evening, sir," he said cheerfully to the security guard at the exit, holding out his bag for the routine check. The guard unzipped the bag and began to inspect it. But suddenly his face changed. "What is this?" the guard barked, pulling out company items. Flash drives, hard copies of project files, and some specialized tools. Felix's eyes grew wide. "Wait, what? That's not mine. I didn't pack that." "Don't play smart with me," the guard snapped. "First day on the job and you're already stealing company property. You think I haven't seen this trick before?" "No, I swear. I don't know how that stuff got in there. I didn't take anything." Felix stammered, sweat rising on his forehead. "Save it. We're reporting this immediately." In minutes, Felix was dragged before Evelyn, who sat in her glass-walled office like a judge in a courtroom. Her expression was unreadable, cold, professional, distant. He stood before her, trembling. "Young man," she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "Is this how you repay the company that trusted you? Day one, and already there's a report of theft." "Ma, please. I didn't do it. I don't know how those things got there. I would never. We have zero tolerance for theft in this firm," Evelyn said sharply. "Do you know how serious this is? You're lucky we haven't already called the police." Felix dropped to his knees. "Please, Ma. Don't let this happen. My mother is old. She's been sick. This job gave her hope again. If she hears this, if she sees me arrested, it could kill her. Please, Ma. Let me call her. Let her talk to you." Evelyn stared at him. Her face didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Your mother?" she asked quietly. "Yes, Ma. She prayed and fasted for this day. She's all I have. Please. I beg you." A long silence fell in the room. Felix kept his eyes on the floor. Finally, Evelyn stretched her hand and picked up the office landline. She handed it to him. "Call her," she said, her voice still emotionless, but her eyes slowly narrowing. As Felix reached for the phone with shaky fingers, Evelyn leaned back in her chair, her mind already racing. "Let her come," she thought silently. "Let the past walk through my door again. This is just the beginning." The atmosphere in Evelyn's office was thick with silence and tension. Felix stood nervously beside the desk. His eyes locked on the door, waiting. Then, 20 minutes later, the receptionist gently led in an elderly woman. She walked in slowly, her tired eyes darting around the unfamiliar office space. Her faded wrapper, worn sandals, and anxious expression told a story of hardship. Yet behind those worried eyes there was pride. Pride for the son she believed in. "Good afternoon, Ma," she said, her voice shaky as she entered. Evelyn, seated behind her polished glass desk, didn't smile. Her eyes were cold, her expression unreadable. "You are Felix's mother?" she asked stiffly. "Yes, Ma. I am," the woman replied, clutching the edge of her wrapper. Evelyn leaned back and pointed at Felix. "Tell her what you did." Felix looked at his mother, guilt and confusion written all over his face. "Mum, I didn't do it. Swear. They said I stole company items, but I didn't. I don't know how those things got into my bag. I would never steal. You know me." His mother gasped as if slapped. "Steal? You?" She turned to Evelyn, shaking her head. "No. My son cannot do such a thing." "He did," Evelyn cut in sharply, her voice laced with anger. "Your son tried to smuggle out valuable items on his very first day here. We should have already handed him over to the police." The woman's knees buckled, and she fell to the ground. "Please, Ma. Please," she wept, stretching her hands forward in pleading. "I raised him well. I trained him to be honest. He cannot steal. Please have mercy. Don't take him away from me. He's all I have. He just got this job and he was so happy. I beg you." Tears flowed freely from her eyes as she bowed her head to the floor, shaking with grief. Her voice cracked with each plea. Felix could only watch, heartbroken and helpless. Evelyn turned her chair away from them and stared blankly at the wall. She gripped the edge of her desk as a strange feeling crept into her chest, a memory too painful to ignore. That voice, that pleading, that desperation. "You beat me. You dragged me out of the house. You left me with nothing. I begged you, but you didn't listen. You said I was a curse. You said I would never amount to anything." Her eyes clouded as the memories rushed in. The cold nights on the streets, the hunger, the shame, the pain of being abandoned and falsely accused. And now here stood the same woman, on her knees, begging her for mercy. Evelyn turned slowly to face them. Her hands trembled, and tears finally escaped her eyes. Felix and his mother looked up, confused by the sudden change in her. Then Evelyn whispered, her voice barely audible. "Now you know. Now you finally know how it feels to be falsely accused, to be thrown away like nothing." The old woman's eyes widened as she took a closer look at Evelyn's face. Her breath caught in her throat. That voice, that face, that scar on her hand. She covered her mouth and gasped. "Evelyn!" Felix's jaw dropped. "Wait, what? Evelyn?" Evelyn nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes, it's me. The same Evelyn you kicked out of the house. The girl you beat and insulted. The one you said would never make it." She stood, her voice growing stronger, shaking with years of held-in pain. "You said I was worthless. I slept under bridges. Ate from dustbins. I suffered. But look at me now." Felix was speechless. He dropped to his knees beside his mother. Evelyn walked slowly toward them. Her tears had stopped, but her voice remained steady. "I forgive you," she said. They looked up stunned. "I forgive you," she repeated. "Not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to carry the pain anymore. I am not the broken girl you tried to destroy. I am strong now. I am blessed. And I won't let bitterness control me." She knelt down and helped Felix's mother to her feet, then reached out and pulled Felix up into a warm embrace. For a moment the three stood there, holding each other as years of wounds slowly began to heal. The receptionist at the door wiped her tears. Other staff who had gathered silently by the window stood still, moved and speechless by what they had witnessed. Felix continued working at Ben Energy firm. Slowly but surely, he regained Evelyn's trust. His humility, dedication, and passion earned him promotions one after the other. He worked harder than anyone else, determined to prove he was not the boy he used to be. And every time he passed Evelyn's office, he remembered that day. The day truth was revealed. The day pain turned into healing. The day forgiveness proved more powerful than revenge. Because in the end, forgiveness wasn't just a second chance, it was freedom.